to the Voiceover Roundtable. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I'm Emma O'Neill. Every week, we get together to talk about all things voiceover, with a special focus on community.
Bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
Let's get started. This is the Voiceover Roundtable.
She came into the entertainment industry as a trained dancer, but then established herself as one of New York's premier voice actors. She's the winner of multiple Promax and Telly Awards for TV commercials, promos, and documentaries as a voice actor, on-camera host, and producer. She's also an author, sought-after coach, event host, and producer, and so much more.
He is an Emmy Award-winning producer and director, having roots in the film editing and audio engineering fields, carving a path with stops at PBS, NBC News, Court TV, and more. Her voice acting and his producing brought them together with great acclaim, and soon their careers and lives became closely intertwined. Well, we today affectionately called married.
Married. Together, they taught voiceover, fusing their respective experiences and backgrounds into a powerhouse offering for their students. And together, they founded the award-winning advertising agency Push Creative. And together, in 2013, they founded the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences, or SOVAS, as we call it, a nonprofit that oversees That's Voiceover Career Expo, the Voice Arts Awards, and multiple programs providing training, education, scholarship, auditions, jobs, and career counseling for voice actors.
And together, they'll be celebrating 25 years of marriage next month. Congratulations. Please welcome to the Voiceover Roundtable the fabulous Miss Joan Baker and the incredible Mr. Rudy Gaskins.
What? An intro. This is how I'm going to respond to that intro. It's what I do when I take dance class still to this day. This is my favorite voice thing that I do across the dance world. Yeah. I do dance class at Alvin Ailey every week.
Oh, wow. And that reverberates off that mirror wall. Oh, right? I love it. My goodness.
Nice to be here, you guys.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome, Joan and Rudy. It's so great to have you both with us. Oh, man, what a special night this is going to be. It's so awesome. We're going to dive right in super fast because we got tons of stuff we want to talk about. I'm sure our guests have things and stuff like we sometimes do this thing where we throw rapid fire questions at you. And so we're going to do a real rapid fire round. And so we get warmed up this way and just like really quick responses, nothing complicated, first thing that comes to mind sort of thing. Okay?
Okay.
Are we good?
Ready? Are we alternating one and the other?
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you, we're going to lead you. Don't worry.
Okay.
We're going to lead you.
We
So
got
here, we'll try this one first. This one is for both of you. One of your shared interests outside of your careers and outside of voiceover is martial arts. Now, pitted against each other, who wins?
Joan Baker's wife.
Joan wins.
Joan wins. TKO.
Happy wife, happy life.
All right.
Absolutely.
Next question to Emma O'Neill.
It's also for both of you. A friend's visiting New York for the first time. Where do you take them?
The
Lincoln
Stephen
Center.
Colbert Show.
Whoa, I like those
Yes.
answers. They can go one with the other, I think.
I like.
Yes, Rudy.
Nice. All right.
Cool.
This one is specifically for Joan.
I'm ready.
You're invited to be a dancer on Dancing with the Stars.
Ta-da!
Who is your A-list celebrity partner?
That is an incredible question. So celebrity partner, I would say, I'll say Denzel Washington.
Ooh, I like it.
I think a lot of people would tune in to watch that.
Yeah.
A lot of
I do too.
Yeah.
I would.
Rudy, this
Denzel.
one's for you.
The good one.
I am
You are chosen, Rudy, to direct a martial arts action movie. Who is your lead actor?
Does he have to be alive?
Nope, I don't think so.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
There it is.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, with the advent of AI, you may get your wish.
Oh my
God.
God. My,
Wow. Okay,
You're
now
right.
we're gonna go more towards the business side of things with some of these quick questions. Okay, this one's for Joan. Let's talk about That's Voiceover.
okay.
Bucket list guest That's Voiceover keynote speaker. So I know you foster connections and you build relationships and things, but maybe there's someone that, believe me, we're big on the putting things out to the universe kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe there's oh man, wouldn't it be nice if we could get,
Okay. So I would say, and connected to voiceover particularly, I'd say Seth MacFarlane. I'd say I'd love this keynote speaker because she understands, the industry at large, and that I would say Oprah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oprah's also phenomenal with promotion.
She is. She's
It's
a
just
phenomenal marketer and promoter. And what is voiceover and what are we doing but marketing and promoting? So I think she would be, to me, the ultimate catch because she's not exactly in voiceover, but has a perspective that could really generate a lot of depth.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're in it, you don't see it the same way as when you're not totally in it. And, it's like when we hear actors talk about acting, you kind of go, oh, I never thought of that. But it totally relates to voiceover. So those are my two choices.
Okay. Continuing
bucket
with
list stuff.
this
Yeah.
bucket list stuff for Rudy. Bucket list venue for the Voice Arts Awards.
Roman's Chinese Theater.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That would be awesome.
I can't tell you the conversations Rudy and I have had around putting on the event at Groman's Chinese Theater and creating prints of different voice actors, just like Groman's has the actors on the cement.
Yeah.
We've talked about creating that in the voice acting world. But of course, if we were at Groman's Chinese Theater, that would be a lot of inspiration, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we're going into the 10th anniversary for the Voice Arts Awards now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we were going into the 25th anniversary, I would absolutely love to do Kennedy Center.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So we got two on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Since, That's Voiceover changed its name in 2009, where would you like to see That's Voiceover? Besides Kennedy Center for the Voice Arts Awards, what would be the ultimate? Are you still saying Groman's Chinese Theater or somewhere
I
else?
think based on the fact that we changed the name to That's Voiceover in 2009.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So that's
because, it did
Not-
go through a lot of alterations. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, with that in mind, I guess maybe I'd go with the Ziegfeld Theater in New York.
Oh, cool.
oh, really? Really?
I love it. And I think we're gonna talk a little bit more about That's Voiceover and the venues and where it's at and everything like that later in the show.
okay.
We're on our last rapid fire question. We've kind of slowed down, but it's
Okay.
important.
We'll try to be more rapid fire.
No, this one is going to
This
be
is a
really
polarizing
easy.
one.
Yeah. So we have to get really serious, and sometimes we have to ask the hard questions.
boy.
So we're really changing tone here.
Oh.
Okay. It's really a really polarizing, controversial question, and it's also a little bit seasonal. And it's for both of
Okay.
you. You need to choose, and there's no waffling. This is a binary decision. Okay,
Okay.
for or against pumpkin spice.
Again,
Amy Stafford in the comments got it before you asked the question. She was
Now,
like, "Do you like pumpkin spice?"
I'd
goodness.
rather have something else. Like, I'd rather have other things, put it that way. It would never occur to me pumpkin spice as a choice. I wouldn't even think of it at that. I would think of other things before that. That's why I said against.
Yeah. Do people lose their minds as much stateside as they do up here in Canada?
Oh, why is that a big thing in Canada?
That it's like the first official day of fall. You know that summer has officially been ended by Starbucks when pumpkin spice lattes and all.
Don't you know retail decides the seasons down here?
That's right. Everywhere.
All right. Thanks for playing along, gang. That was so fun.
That was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love these things. I love the rapid fire questions. They're always
I do too.
You know?
They're good and they stump you, truly.
Yeah.
Some interesting characters showed up in there too. Bruce Lee, Oprah Winfrey,
Right.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel,
Yeah.
Equalizer.
Yeah.
We have so many questions, and I'm sure our audience is going to have many questions for you as well. We're scrolling the chat. Half the time I forget that I'm here because I'm in the chat. So Mike has to remind me to come back actually into the show because I fall into the chat rabbit hole and I'm like, oh, wait, sorry, I'm here. Right,
There is one trap deliberately set every show. We will see how it goes.
Especially if I'm busy and I don't pre-read, if I don't I don't prep for it and then I throw myself in, then it's no holds barred.
Things are more spontaneous.
All right, let's do it.
Pretty much. Okay, so getting into like the meaty questions that we can spend a little bit more time on. These days, most of us know you both as the founders of the SOVAS, or the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences, which also includes the Voice Arts Awards and the Voiceover Career Expo. But many probably don't know the story of how and why it all came about. So would you mind sharing that?
Not at all. Okay.
No. Next question.
So Rudy and I, when we first met, we met at ABC. You know, it's kind of something I post every year because we met on his birthday. I didn't know it was his birthday, and we met at ABC News, and he directed me on a campaign for healthcare for women on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. And then he called me on my birthday, which was October 14th, about 6 months later, and we had coffee. So from there, we became an item, and right away we started working together. I was already teaching, and so Rudy came on with the producer perspective, and I had the actor perspective. And so we started doing really amazing workshops. We invited amazing guest speakers to show up, like agents and casting people and producers. So from there, I wrote a book called Secrets of Voiceover Success. I was taking a class that was kind of a metaphysical type class, definitely on growth and spirituality, and also how to transform your life. So one of the projects was doing something first we had to identify a community. And then once we did, we chose which community that we wanted to have impact in. And I, of course, chose the VO community. So I created this book called Secrets of Voiceover Success. And also it just so happened at the same time, my father passed away from Alzheimer's. Oh. I always wanted to be a humanitarian. So when that happened, and I talked to Rudy about my project, which he helped me shape, we decided to put the two together. So I ended up donating proceeds to the Alzheimer's Association. At the same time, I addressed the book was about communication ultimately, and also giving homage to people that had lost the ability to communicate through Alzheimer's. Because after a while, when you have the disease, it progresses where you don't speak and your thoughts disappear. Yeah. So this really became a mission. And of course, I wasn't rich like, celebrity rich. So I wanted to do it through talent. So I was able to get, some of the top voice actors at the time in the world in the book. And then from there, we all kind of created this mission to help Alzheimer's and help bring awareness to Alzheimer's. So I started doing events, Rudy producing them. And of course, I had the gusto to kind of go out there and meet the people and do what it needed to take. So through the book signings, they became very popular because I had, Don LaFontaine, I had incredible talent.
Don LaFontaine.
Yeah, everybody, even media was calling me, wanting to do articles on Don LaFontaine. So I kept Don busy. So we that became extremely popular. So as that got popular, we also started doing events for a company called the Learning Annex. And so they told us, and the Learning Annex, you can always look them up. They have a great educational history. And as we started working with them, eventually they told us that our event, they've been around since the 80s, our event was the most successful in the history of the Learning Annex.
Wow.
Who knew there were many people in New York who wanted to learn voice acting?
Yeah, because it was definitely New York based. So Rudy and I felt like we could do it better. So we started creating, throughout the time we were working with them, we started creating ticketed events that had to do with the people and secrets of voiceover success. It wasn't until 2009 that we changed the name to That's Voiceover, and we started including other people besides the people in secrets of voiceover success.
Right. Yes, but before we changed the name, it had other names like Make Millions with Your Voice.
Voice and the faces and voices behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, conferences, but
and
Joan came up with the name child to call it That's Voiceover. Boom. 2009.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
So Rudy wanted, and also a little snippet is, we had done a really amazing book signing with Jim Dale and Richard Thomas, who are also in the book. We had done this really great event with David Letterman's announcer. His name was Alan Coulter. He's now the late Alan Coulter. I mean, incredible talent. After this event, Rudy and I, the next day on Sunday, we woke up and we started talking, and Rudy said to me, what do you think would be a key thing for voice actors that would have them come to an event that would be unique? Immediately, like quick fire, I said, a job. So that's where the job came in, where we had a job at stake. And we had been connecting with television networks. So we have been doing the talent spotlight since 2009 as well.
Oh, I didn't know
it's been that long.
Cool.
Yeah, that was the very first time.
That was the very first one. And that's when really we changed the name. Things started to come together in a really extraordinary way. And it was all based on the work we had done through the workshops, the seminars, that we did a ticketed event at the Museum of the Moving Image. So all that work started to come together to create That's Voiceover. So we have always done That's Voiceover as a way of revealing what goes on behind the scenes in voice acting. Yeah. So like, for example, when you watch from the audience the talent spotlight, you get to see what goes on between, the people at the network and how they work with the talent and how they choose talent and what kind of works, not just your training, but also what works in the moment spontaneously.
Yes.
And that's also a big part of getting work. It's not just your extraordinary skill set, but it's also kind of like what shows up in the moment that makes it kabam. Yep. And makes you stand out to get the job. And maybe if it had happened 5 minutes earlier, it wouldn't have been you, it would have been someone else. So there's that aspect there, and you get to see that live at That's Voiceover. It really has an impact on people in terms of what really goes on behind the scenes. Because remember, once upon a time, voice acting was very much a mystery.
Oh, yeah.
It was very much a mystery. And as a matter of fact, when Secrets of Voiceover Success first came out, there were people that left reviews saying, how dare you tell our secrets? How dare you tell the secrets of the voice, in the voiceover industry? Fast forward to 2023, everybody is on stage telling their secrets. But when Secrets first came out, there was no conferences. There were no ticketed events. Mm-hmm. So it was a shock to a lot of people. A shock. Right, Rudy?
It was. I remember one talent, I offered him an opportunity to be in a magazine for, I think it was Broadcasting and Cable. They wanted to do an interview with him. And I contacted him. I said, we can make this happen. He said, but I don't want anyone to know my secrets. I'm not so sure that that's a good idea. I said, well, I can respect that. So I'm going to move on. A day later, he called me back and said, I changed my mind. I'll do it.
Smart man.
Was this someone in the book?
Yeah.
But was it still on the table? That's the question. Because sometimes
It was. Right. It was Neil Ratner. And the G.I. Joe and so many other things. And his daughter is now huge in voice acting as well.
Yeah.
Incredible guy. And one of the contributors to the book. And so he did that. And it worked out very well for him. And it was a great article. And we worked with him for many years thereafter.
Not only that, he said it changed his life. He said secrets of voiceover success, coming out and doing seminars, getting interviewed in magazines. Normally, this audience wouldn't have known him. Just like everybody else in the book. No one, the audiences that came through, they would not have known to do that. And they would not have been acquainted with Don or Bill or Dave Fenoy or Sylvia Villegran. So it changed all of our lives. And that's the platform we used to create the conference. And at the time when we first created a conference, there were no conferences. There were no ticketed events.
now you can go somewhere every week.
Yes, that's right.
Right? But talking about that, like access to people and stuff, when you think about, the access that people have through events like this or events like Comic-Cons and stuff like that, where they can, see Peter Cullen up on stage.
That's right.
Different things like that. You didn't have that, like you're saying, you didn't have that access back then.
No, you didn't.
But to
out.
To be honest with you, the contributors to the book were huge to those people who wanted to break into voice acting.
Right.
At that
time, there was always a line at the book signing table for these folks, and these people knew them, and some of them didn't know each other until they were in the book, and we had book signings, and they met for the first time. Oh my God, I've always known your work. So glad to meet you in person. But they were superstars, and we made an effort to help foster that superstardom, so that people would understand what they had been doing, and that this was their complete lives. This wasn't a hobby. This is something people devoted their entire lives to learning and perfecting in different genres.
It's true. At that time when we were doing it live, like the Learning Annex and stuff, people would ask questions and literally people would say, what exactly is a voiceover? I mean, it was really on that level. Yeah. What is a voiceover? Now, fast forward today, people's dreams since they were born was to be a voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not like that then.
No, I went to an academy acting program and we didn't have anything resembling voice acting in it. Like we had voice and speech and accents and dialects and speaking North American naturally, but there was never a mention of voiceover. Snan, speaking North American naturally.
You've done well with that one.
There you go. Thank you so much. Yes. I know what I was like. So.
Oh man.
But another piece that made it work, I think, for Joan and I came from the production side, working on television networks and working in film. And so my experience with the voice actors was always hiring them or being on a project where they were hired. And I was watching that process go by. And I love working with voice actors more than anything because my training was as a director at NYU in film school. And it was always a joy to me as a producer on television when the voice actors came to play. And we worked with people who were very experienced, so they really did come to play. They really didn't know that there was room for them to create and to work with the director. They didn't come in afraid or closed down or nervous. They came in and started doing all their crazy, vocalizations and stuff. And, I loved that. When that happened, I know, okay, we're ready to have some fun now.
Yeah.
And it continues to be my favorite part of doing the work is when I'm working with the actors and they're free to do their thing.
Yeah. And it's good to remind people that they are free to do their thing. We've had many, many casting directors and people say, you booked the job. Now go in and kill it and have fun and rock it. You booked the job. Don't be nervous. Just go in and rock it.
Right. And go in and rock it. That's really the time I feel like you have a lot of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because, people that are working with you, they want to work with playful people. They want to work with people that aren't fixed and stuck and have their style. They want to work with a free artist in the booth,
right.
To experiment, to, have fun, to, to me, the key word is playful.
Yeah.
You're not stuck on any one thing.
Yeah.
And that's important. And that's our training, to tap into, right, ourselves, so that at will we can do this attitude, that behavior, that reaction, that moment before, come up with something very creative. That's the creativity in voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the joy.
And a good director will help foster that environment.
Yeah.
So that you will feel relaxed, especially in the days when you came in and you walk into show blow.
Remember those days?
People might be tense because they just got the script finished and they just had an argument with their boss because they had the wrong words in it. And so you walk into this room where there's all this tension sometimes, and you may feel that may make you feel apprehensive and concerned. So the director really does need to know that you're walking out of the blue. You don't know what this environment has been like, and you got to calm them down and make sure that they feel relaxed and honored and welcomed, and have an opportunity to have some water, go in and close the booth and warm up if you like. You have any questions about the script? So it was always important to me to make sure that the actors felt relaxed and comfortable so that they could do their thing. Because I definitely need them to do their thing.
I have to say that, and I'm not just saying this because Rudy is the love of my life, but he is an extraordinary director. And his experience and his background, and also his personality, really lends himself to love working with actors, to love bringing out the best of them, to create the environment that would bring the most out of a voice actor to work with. As a matter of fact, when Rudy was at Court TV, he hired a voiceover coach to come in and coach the producers so that they'd be able to more freely work with talent.
Genius.
Right? I didn't know anybody that did that. I don't know anybody that did that.
The networks were set up so we could always hear what was going on. So I might be at my desk, but I'm listening to the voiceover sessions as they're going.
Right.
Wow.
And I would hear that the producers were sometimes struggling. And the one that stands out to me was a producer said to a voice actor, that was weird. Can you do it again?
That was weird.
But we're sensitive. Don't talk like that. Sensitive.
Well,
That'll ruin a whole month.
yeah.
Man.
And I said, "What?"
We know we're weird. You don't need to tell us.
We talk to ourselves all day. Of course we're weird.
Oh, man.
And we would sit down 1 hour every week with this coach, and everyone would go into the conference room and they would just work on scripts with her. So they could get a feeling for what it's like to be on the other side of the microphone.
That's
Thank
right.
you for doing that. As an actor, I'm going to say thank you so much for doing that, because we're so sensitive. We're just little energy bodies. And when you're working with someone who's really calm and soothing, Rudy, you have a really calm, soothing energy about you. It makes it so much easier that when you're stepping into a booth and you're working with, especially when the client and the writer and the writer's assistant and like 472 different people are in the room, and you're like, what is happening? It's stressful, and you're not, it takes you a minute to be able to give what you know you can give to the session.
Exactly. And it's all to create the product, for the product to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's why you do all this, right?
Yeah.
I taught, Promax and BDA, right?
Yep.
Well, I used to be the voice for 10 years, okay? And in that
Sail it.
And in that time, I did a seminar at Promax. It was called Working and Directing with Voice Talent. So in the seminar, I had a talent agent, a casting director, a coach, a producer, right on stage. We talked all about the craft. Everybody in the audience were creative directors and senior vice presidents of television networks, right? So what I did was I chose some people that were willing to come up and read copy. They read promo copy, right? Now, what I want you to know is the general atmosphere around television networks and producers was, why should the talent get paid the amount of money they do when I can do it? When I can do it and get that money. So that when I did this seminar, I kid you not, the people that came up and read, they got redirected and all that. After it ended, people were raising their hand, creative director, senior, and they said, we finally realized why voiceover talent get the money that they do. We finally realized that it's not easy. It's actually complicated. Thank you for showing us that.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I
not
don't
easy, folks.
That was unexpected.
That was so unexpected, you guys.
One guy said, I'll never complain again about what we paid voice actors.
Good. Can we get a raise?
Honestly.
Good.
I'm applauding here.
Oh,
I'm applauding.
I honestly didn't expect that. I knew it was going to be phenomenal, but I didn't know it was going to actually kind of leave lessons behind in terms of people's attitudes and behaviors and changing their minds.
And now we have to work on some of the actors too, because you hear actors saying things like, the script was poorly written, the description for the script was poorly written, and the director doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he wants from me. He's asking me to do this and do that. And I say, that guy that you says doesn't know how to do A and doesn't know how to do B and C and D is the person who hired you.
Yeah.
So what does that say about you? That Mr. can't do anything, picked you.
Right.
They gave you cards, man. Play them.
That's right.
They gave
That's
you cards.
So it definitely is both sides of the fence here.
Yeah.
Right.
Joan and Rudy, we've talked a lot about, I kind of want to shift gears a little bit here because we've talked a lot about the foundational elements in building up to SOVAS and the Voice Arts Awards and things like that. And my understanding is that promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion was and always has been and still is a core component of not only the Voice Arts Awards, but also a lot of the work that you both do ongoing. So if you had to give the voiceover business a diversity report card in 2023, what would that look like?
Quick fire.
No. This is take your time and lay it out. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd say it's a B-.
All right.
And I give it that higher score because the conversation is at least in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're seeing movement. We're seeing talent agents cordon off parts of their roster so that they're clear who on their talent fits certain areas, as well as, sort of doing the general market stuff, but knowing who on my roster is LGBTQ, who on my roster is of a certain faith, of a certain background.
Right.
And so that when those folks self-identify, it makes it easy for the producers and the agent to make those choices. When they don't self-identify, if you don't give them the room to self-identify, then the agents and the casting directors are stuck in a bad position where they have to start figuring out what that identification should sound like in a description or on the phone with someone. And they can wind up putting their foot in their mouth when they're doing that kind of thing. So it's important that the entire industry create a very welcoming place for people to self-identify. And that doesn't mean if I self-identify as binary or non-binary or whatever, that's the only thing I want to do.
Right.
Yes. It just means when that's the need, I'm your guy. For the general market stuff, we're all in the general market too. Just because, I do martial arts doesn't mean I don't enjoy watching boxing. So it's okay to be in the general market and also be able to self-identify in areas of society where your understanding, your sensibilities make a difference to the creative.
I think it's also important that, or at least how I also see it, is that we're making diversity mainstream as opposed to on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
We're making it mainstream so that people feel free to work with the world, to work with cultures, not just the same groove being made, but that we are actually mainstream at this point. That's been a focus of ours too. And, I know for myself, now I'm mixed race. And sometimes when you're in the middle, it's actually even harder because people don't know how, first of all, everything in show business is typed. So visually speaking, I'd always been someone hard to cast because of my look.
You fit.
Yeah, exactly.
Which box should I put you in?
I don't fit in a box. Only now is there actually a box for me.
Yeah.
But that box, I mean, it's racially ambivalent. I don't really know how I feel about that title because I'm not ambivalent, but at least there's now a box. There wasn't a box before. So, people would say to me in advertising, like when I would audition for commercials and all that, people would say to me, you're really great, but people are going to be staring at you and wondering, what exactly are you? And that will take away from our product. This is where the thinking was, guys. Yeah. This is where that I would be disruptive, trying to figure me out so I wouldn't see the box of Tide.
And one of the things I hear from casting directors on the network side, those who work for the network, is they want to be able to bring in one actor and have them do multiple parts, especially if we're talking animation or video games. They want one actor to be able to do multiple parts because they save money. And they have told me straight out, if I go out and I have to hire LGBTQ for this one and I have to hire African Americans for that one, then that's 2 more salaries I have to deal with. And to that I say, no excuse. There is no excuse for that. That's just 2 more salaries you have to deal with. If you were doing a movie and the script called for an LGBTQ person and a Black person and a Native American, you wouldn't say, oh, that's too much for the budget. The movie wouldn't fly if you just put anyone in those roles. It's not the 1940s. Sure. So you have to spend the money there. Spend that same money for voice acting.
And again, have the product, have the piece, have the spot land. Have it resonate with more than one type of person, right?
Sorry, continue.
I was going to say, I also hear things like when people get upset about diversity, actors get upset about diversity. Yes. They feel like it's I can act, I can do anything. Well, if you hire the Black, they will also have to act. So we all have to act. So there's no excuse there.
That's the thing I wanted to pick apart next with you, Joan and Rudy, because it comes from 2 directions or more directions than that possibly, but especially when we're talking about voiceover, when there is no visual representation of the actor, we're hearing just a voice. And so from voice actors, what you were just alluding to, how we sometimes hear, well, why should it matter? It should just matter the quality of the voice and if I can do the bit and if I can do the part. Well, if you're a, middle-aged white guy like me, but the casting is not for a middle-aged white guy like me, then just step back.
The life experience is different. It's like being gay. It's like as a straight person, you have no idea the life that a person who
totally
in my community, what we go through.
Right.
And you know what? I would have to be directed and do research to figure it out, where you don't have to direct that out of you.
Yeah.
You don't have to direct out of me being a biracial woman or a Black woman coming, whatever time period or whatever. You don't have to direct that. That just shows up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's the point. It's just been one-sided for decades.
There's something I call sonic diversity. I didn't invent that term, but I really believe in it. And that is you can recognize certain aspects of a person's being by the way they present themselves vocally, just by listening. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I hear commercials sometimes and I know when I'm hearing a young child or a slightly older child or an adolescent or an African-American or white or Latino, you can hear these things sometimes. You may be mistaken sometimes, but there's something that you listen for that helps you believe that the person you're hearing is of a certain sensibility or background.
Yeah.
And so if you're not of that background, you might like to think it doesn't exist. Anybody can do that. I know a guy who does a great James Earl Jones, and he's white. He can do black. It's like, well, maybe he can't. And maybe he could convince me that it is James Earl Jones. But why would you go to that extent when you could actually hire James Earl Jones or hire a black actor? Why would you go out of your way? It's not increasing the pie when you do that. It's just kind of cording off a smaller and smaller group of people to do everything.
But it's important to point out that it's not just like the blame doesn't all fall on voice actors when it comes to diversity. Is that it comes in the other direction too, because I know I'm not alone in receiving, an example, a script for a corporate video, and I open up the file to see the script, and there's a storyboard, and there's a person of color as the character that I'm going to be voicing. That's not okay.
Oh yeah,
that's not okay.
Not in this day and age.
No, and so that's my next question that I put you to kind of dovetail on what we're talking about is how can we all play a role in a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive voiceover community?
You have to step up when you see things like that, for one. And we need to feel free to talk to the folks at the top about these matters and how they're making their choices so that, just recently I hired a production manager for our upcoming Voice Arts Awards. And that person is building a team to work under them. And I told them, okay, I really want you to make sure your team is diverse. Can you do that? Is that a problem? And I could see that she was a little bit shocked. And she said, well, there's another woman that works with me. And I said, that's not enough. You're going to have to work at this. I know it may be tough if you don't know these people already, but I am kind of looking for that for sure. And she said, I'll see what I can do. But it was hard for me to broach that conversation. And it was hard for her to hear it. And then we had to work at it and to have a conversation. Had to go a little deeper than, yes, I'll get that done. I said, no, you got to really hear me on this because I'm going to be looking for these people in the room. And the same thing happened with the next production person that I hired who also has to bring a team with them. But that's what's necessary. Someone at the top, which is me in this case, has to say, I want this to happen. The first time it happened with me was with Spike Lee, because we went to NYU together. And I was doing editing when he was doing School Days. He hired me to be one of the editors on that. And I got a call out of the blue one day, almost in a panic. Can you help me with finding some black PAs, black production assistants? I was shocked. I was like, you're calling me and you're just outright asking for black people?
What's happening?
I didn't say that, but I had to pause for a moment. And then I said, okay, I'll look around. And I did find people. And I thought, wow, the balls on that guy at first to just come right out and ask for it.
Wow, Rudy.
And then I felt, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that moment that he did that. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Put your Spike Lee hat on when you're in these meetings.
I that's a good one. But I want to add something to that. And that is part of the issue that people hesitate is because there's some notions that, for example, blacks, they won't have enough skill set. They don't work enough to have enough skill set, or we won't be able to relate to them because there's kind of a different lingo, right? And so people feel like they'll be put on the spot if they hire people of color or LGBTQ, that they won't be able to relate. So they'll just do what's easy. So that's
never know if you don't hire them.
That's right. But also, they're bringing a perspective to the table that wouldn't normally be there, that, again, the end result of your product will reach to many people, not the same people, right? So, like, for example, and I've told this kind of example before, but like when I did a job for a major company, a major product, and the producer had heard my demo, okay, and they wanted to hire a Black voice. I didn't really know that at the time, but when I got to the studio, the engineer who I was good friends with, he said to me, Joni, this woman doesn't know how to direct Blacks. I didn't really know what that meant. So it started, and we started working, and I did the first read, and then the engineer turned around because she started talking, and so he put his finger on the button so I could hear it. And she said, "Oh, she's great, but can she add a little bit more cotton to her voice?"
Oh,
Yeah. Right? That would
Exactly.
me every time.
Yeah. Can she add a little bit more cotton to her voice? Yeah. When
my God.
Yes.
I was already bugged when people said, "Can you make it more urban?" But the
Cotton.
cotton thing, that was like, let's break through the glass now and start strangling someone.
But I had to act like I wasn't hearing anything because he turned his back but put his finger on the button. I'm sure he didn't know she was going to go that far, but that's what he was saying to me. This is what I meant.
Yeah.
I had to pretend like I wasn't listening. I was reading my script, but I was mortified.
All of a sudden,
Yeah,
the comment of "that's
yeah,
weird"
that's-
doesn't seem a sense.
Doesn't seem that bad.
It's not bad.
Right?
Not bad. That sounds
Right.
weird. Doesn't sound bad
Yeah,
anymore.
right.
Rudy and I were at a diversity conference, and somehow I hadn't thought about that story in a long time, but somehow it got triggered, and I told the story. I'm telling you, the entire room, you could hear a pin drop, and then gasp, and then gasp.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, diversity works both ways. And as when we started That's Voiceover and the Voice Arts Awards especially, that's when it really came to fruition, when we began the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences, and we wanted to make sure that our DNA included diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
White people are required to create diverse environments too.
Yeah.
And so you have to really be thinking about both sides of the coin. You have to be thinking with a world view. And that's been tricky. It takes sitting down and thinking about people who are going to take the stage as presenters, people who are going to take the stage as speakers at the conferences. And it's not just who's easy to reach. It's like some folks are not so easy to reach, and have questions and concerns. And you have to work through all of those things to ensure that you do pull in everybody.
But again, so the end result reaches more than one type of person, but that it's a cultural landing. It's a multicultural result. To me, that's everything. That reflects the world. That reflects the world, and that's what we want. Aside from AI, people want authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's turned a corner. Aside from AI, people want authenticity. They want the world that they're in to be reflected, not just, again, one-sided results. And also, it brings so much more ideas to the table.
Yeah.
And so much more richness to the table. That's what I want. And that's why it's worth it for us. I'm telling you, even with That's Voiceover, we get people for the panels and to moderate panels. They're not an easy phone call. Some of these people take years to cultivate, where they show up, years of Rudy and I honing in on, massaging, keeping in touch with, years.
Educating them about what we do and what the
Right.
conference is.
Right.
Because for a lot of folks on the production side, a voiceover conference, what do you guys do? What do you do there? They understand a dentist conference.
This is actually kind of fun because this
Good
is
segue.
a question that I want to ask you is pretty much exactly, it's like you knew.
Yeah.
It's like one of the things that we have to talk about is the Career Expo. And it's taking place at the Hilton Los Angeles Airport from December 7th through 9th this year. We want for you to share with our listeners, because some people have been, some people have not been. And as Mike had said, it's like, now you can go somewhere every week. What is it that they will get from this particular event? Like, what should they expect? Why should they go? Why this one?
Okay, so I'll start. For example, you're going to meet buyers from Meta, DreamWorks, Pandora, Audible, Amazon, TikTok, CBS, Vox Talent, Backstage Magazine, SAG-AFTRA, Sennheiser. I don't know where all these people would show up under one roof.
True.
And they're there to teach. They're there to share, and they're there to share their expertise with us.
And some of them are offering jobs. So there are literally 8 jobs that will be offered through That's Voiceover this year. 8 jobs. You can go on our website, SOVAS.org, and go to the audition button, which is at the bottom of the page, and you will see the auditions that are available that you can jump in and do right now. Some are...
Mike has just tagged the page on Clubhouse.
I've pinned the link to the That's Voiceover Career Expo schedule, or basically the schedule is put out. But as Rudy's saying, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a section that says auditions, and it has the different opportunities that are there that are still currently open. Many of them are open, I think, for at least another month or so. Like I think some of them go till November, kind of thing. But all those details are there. So if you click on those links, you're going to find out. So check out the schedule, check out the links for the auditions, opportunities.
And
our theory is that by creating a learning environment, which That's Voiceover is, and having real jobs on the line as a connection to that, elevates the learning exponentially. That what you're learning about working with casting directors or auditioning is in the context of actual auditions for real jobs.
Yeah.
And that's not something that's ever existed for voice actors anywhere. And then being able to get into speed dating, which is by invitation only, you're meeting directly with casting directors, talent agents, and buyers. And folks get signed out of speed dating. Folks get jobs from producers who say, "Oh my God, where did you come from?" And they just book them on a project. So that's the kind of thing that you get from That's Voiceover. But I think, when you think about athletes, how they have to psych themselves up before they go into, get on the playing field. They need to be coached heavily. They need to really get psyched to go out there and win a Super Bowl. And that's what happens with That's Voiceover. You will be psyched up and ready to hit the ground running and go after your dreams. That's a big part of what I appreciate about the experience.
And creating it every year.
You'll be ready to kick some booty.
Do you have a favorite feature or segment? Personally, mine is speed dating, because I've had the pleasure of being on it twice. Two times.
Wonderful.
2 times.
That's definitely one of my favorites too.
So much fun and unreal. The people that you get to meet and actually sit and have a conversation with, you're like, hi, hello.
That's also one of my favorite, is because an agent's job when you approach them is not to give you feedback. So if you're sending your demo reel and in your note you're saying, "I would love your feedback," that is not their job. And that is something that they will definitely move on, because that's giving them extra work. You're actually approaching them because you're a professional and you want to get signed.
Yeah.
Not because you want feedback. But speed dating is actually created getting feedback, something they don't do. So when I talk to every agent, manager, casting director, producer, and I always bring that up. I say, "I know your job isn't to give feedback, but this is actually created to do that." They're like, "Joan, thank you so much for understanding our job requirement." No, it is not about getting feedback in real world, but it is for speed dating. By the very notion of speed dating, you're going to get these things. But
speed dating is not for beginners. A lot of people make that mistake, and we made that mistake in the very first speed dating session. We let people, if you had a demo reel, you got in. And then one of the talent agents pulled me aside and said, "Rudy, it was okay as an experience for me, but if you actually got people who I could hire, who I could sign, I'd be much more interested in doing it." And the light bulb went on, and it stayed on ever since. I said, "Okay, we've got to vet the demo reels, make sure we've got top quality people."
Right,
Because
that already.
talent agents are looking for new talent.
Right.
They don't just share their notions about your reel and let you move on.
So, Rudy, give us an idea, like for speed dating, for example, how many people will apply and how many people will be part of the event?
Well, I think it has ranged between when we first started, like maybe like 100 people would apply. Now there's like 500 or 600 people will apply.
Right.
And I'm counting people who don't have tickets as well, because with speed dating, you have to be a ticket holder.
Right.
And a lot of people apply who don't have a ticket. And so, but the numbers go up to like 600 people. And
Who's got a ticket? Who wants a ticket? Post that in the chat. Who's got a ticket? Who wants a ticket?
And it's a perk. It's something that we provide, and we do a lot of extra work to find 35 casting directors, talent agents, and producers to sit in the room for 90 minutes.
It takes all year.
For any of you who auditioned for a company, I don't know, throw that maybe Sound and Fury, if that's familiar to you, they're in the speed dating. Yeah. So you actually get to have a conversation with the CDs at Sound and Fury. It's if you haven't had a conversation with Matthew, with Tina, with any of these people, but it's gold.
Yeah. And I can tell you, it's a grueling event, folks. If you are planning to do this, do not go out drinking the night before. Drink your water, get your rest. You want to be at your best. You want to be sharp. You want to be on point. You want to feel good. Sure, you're going to be nervous.
About your future.
Right? Yeah. Sure, you're going to be nervous, but it's the good nerves, right? It's those performance nerves. They tingle.
And you get rolling very quickly. It's such an energetic environment. Once it starts, it's just like gangbusters. Mm-hmm. So there won't be any time really to be nervous. You'll be moving so quickly.
Since we can't have hundreds of people do speed dating, what it is we may have 500 to 600 submissions, right? That we have to go through and choose. And actually, I try to choose the ones that are ready and that are professional. But sometimes I choose people where I could tell that it will help them level up. And so it's a little bit of a mix, but mostly everyone's professional. And so if we have 35 speed daters, then I choose 35 talent to match it. It's a semi-private event, but as speed dating happens, there's atomic VO coaching that happens for the rest of the audience. So it's not like you'll miss anything if you're not in it.
Yeah, the time is not lost. There's something for you to do that's of high value.
And we have help with vetting because we get so many submissions. But I try to choose not just top quality, but also people that I can tell, God, if they just had the opportunity, they may not be, totally like, great demo reels, but they have good ones. But I could tell that they just need a little break. Yeah, a little lift, a little break. I know I would have appreciated that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
As opposed to what exactly are you,
So a reminder to all the listeners, we posted the That's Voiceover schedule in the link at the top. Go check it out. Check out the opportunities, the audition opportunities. Is there anything else that Joan and Rudy want to talk about when it comes to That's Voiceover before we move on to another question? Or
Well, very quickly, I would like to add that when we are curating the various panels, we're not just thinking about basic lessons in voice acting. We're also thinking about the ecosystem of voice acting. How producers think and what they do, and creative directors, but also things that are outside of voice acting. We all have a spiritual life and a dream life, and are looking to balance our lives in ways that make them work for us. And we don't just want a voice acting job; we want a voice acting job that we love, that we enjoy.
Yes.
And so we curate the panel so that these kinds of conversations can emerge as part of the whole. And I find that very inspiring. It's one of the things I like most about curating the panels and talking to the folks beforehand about what they want to talk about.
If we didn't spend most of our time getting sponsors, and curating that, we would spend all of our time with content.
Yeah.
I'm looking. Emma's seeing that the chat is lighting up. There's some awesome questions. So I know that we're not going to be finished talking about the expo. And we're not going to be finished talking about the awards because there are plenty of questions in there. But I wanted to sneak this one last one in before we go to the audience. Now, Joan, you talked about your book a little bit before, Secrets of Voiceover Success. It's probably a first of its kind, I would think. Like you said, you pulled the curtain away and everyone went, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I wasn't ready for everyone to see me, but now we hear that you've both signed to deliver a new book, which should be out sometime next year. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
That is correct.
What can you tell us? I know sometimes these things need to be like veiled in secrecy and you need to keep things under wraps for the publisher and everything like that. But like what I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my goodness, these two are writing a book during such a tectonic shifting of the plates of the industry, right? Like, how do you do that? What are we going to expect next summer or next year? I don't know when it's going to be.
I think you can expect a book that's going to be very comprehensive. It's going to blend life and career.
Right.
And it's going to also serve as a resource guide.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think, to me, I've always approached my career as a human being too, not just an artist or not just a craftsman or a technician, but I always added a spiritual or metaphysical component to what I'm doing. And that's also how I measure my results with things is metaphysically or spiritually. And so that's also a big component of the book. Of course, we're going to talk about the issues that are happening right now, but also, some of those things will be dated by the time the book gets out. So we are discussing them, but it's more about the human and the artist blend together aspect of pursuing a career in voice acting. And of course, the excellence and the craft of it, but the metaphysical part, the spiritual part, the human part, the humanity of it.
Very cool. I love that.
Yes.
And shameless plug, if you want to learn more about secrets of voice acting and you want to talk to someone, then that girl, Sarah Tyndall, is doing a book club on Clubhouse that she's going through chapter by chapter. Yeah.
She is. And she just did the first 3 chapters this week. And then coming up, she's doing another 3. But by the end, she's going to be doing my chapter and also the Litany of Secrets, which I'll tell you, the book came out in 2005, but those secrets still stand today. They are classic and
some things are timeless. Timeless.
I think the second edition, the second printing, when you added a couple more actors, came out in 2009, which is the same year that's Voiceover was essentially.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was a special year, 2009.
Yeah, folks, if you've joined us partway through the live show, this is the Voiceover Roundtable here on Clubhouse every Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, where we talk about all things voiceover with a special focus on community, bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
And tonight, our special guests are Joan Baker and Rudy Gaskins, co-founders of the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences. We're opening it up to questions. We actually have a question about the name of SOVAS, which I quite love. I'm curious about the meaning behind the science part of the SOVAS name.
Oh, okay. So the meaning behind the science part is that there are people out there who invent things that make it possible for voice acting to happen. All those little electronics going on inside your microphone and the software of your DAW. All of these things are being done by people who don't do voice acting. They just think hard about science and they make stuff. And so 2 years ago, I think it was, at the Guggenheim Museum, we gave a special award to the chaotic eyeball.
Yes,
because of
I was there. Yes,
Conrad has done to create that instrument, which, as simple as it is, and some things are very simple, right? Like, what is it? E equals MC squared. How is that?
E equals MC squared.
Yeah. Okay. So that was very simple. Now, I believe Einstein was prided himself on trying to narrow that formula down to its simplest form. And eyeball kind of reminds me of that. A lot goes into the foam that they use to really make it work. A lot goes into that development, but it's a very simple thing, just a foam sphere that you plop a microphone into and it works. So that's where the sciences comes from, looking for people who are developing things that make our business work.
Very cool. I actually have a question to kind of connect to that. The Voice Arts Awards, the actual awards, every year, I've been going since 2019, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and more countries and more categories. It's bananas. It's bananas. Okay, let's just be serious.
Bananas.
It's bananas. Has there been conversation, has there been a thought of doing what the Oscars have done and split the sciences and the performance into two different events?
Well, the sciences is a very small part of it at this point. It would just be like...
Or something like that.
Like the occasional award. But splitting it up in terms of just the number of categories would be a great and wonderful thing to do. But we're still...
Week-long event, hosted.
I know, right.
And when you look at something like the Emmys or the Oscars or the Golden Globes, all the nominees show up. Right? So they can always count on that group of people. We're 10 years old, and we're in an industry where people aren't as overly excited about visibility on television to sell a movie or a TV show. They're still all behind the scenes. So we have 500 nominees alone, and they bring their families and their friends. But not all 500 people come. You can't count on 500 people to bring 2 people and fill a 1,500 seat arena. But one day we will have it at that level, and we will create something that's that we can split off, so we can take care of one group of people and do a much more fast-paced 2-hour show rather than the 3 to 3.5 hour show that we do currently.
Right.
But also, I want to add that also would take another budget. And as it stands, every single thing that comes to us goes to the events. Every single cent. Sometimes Rudy and I personally are in the hole, but every single cent that comes our way that we generate goes to the event. So that would also take somehow another sponsor that would be able to pick up the tab there to really create it so that it has, impact.
Right.
So
yeah,
I just wanted to add that component.
Yeah, the business model of an award show is not one that's roundly understood by folks. We just accept the Oscars were because we were born one day and they were on television already.
Right.
And so we just go with it. But when all of a sudden you're spending money for an entry, then you start asking questions. Well, why is this? Why can't it just be free? Well, why do I have to pay to go to Warner Brothers Theater? And why doesn't the sponsor pay for the catering? Where are these people that should be taking care of me? It doesn't work that way. It is a business, and you have to figure out your expenses and your income. And as you do with a lemonade stand, you have to do that same thing with a big old award show. And we are a nonprofit, which allows us to focus all of our energy on the people we serve versus shareholders. It's the people who show up at the event that make a difference to us, not someone who's sitting in their office wondering how their stock is doing.
Right.
And because it's a nonprofit, we don't own it. We're only stewards of the nonprofit. It belongs to the federal government. Okay, that's how nonprofits work. They belong to the people. And we're just the stewards until someone else comes in and takes over the spot or the nonprofit gets shut down. So we keep our focus on the folks that we serve, and we're able to get some donations. But I wish there were time to sort of lay out an organizational chart so that folks would actually see how the business model works. But that's going to have to remain under the hood. and folks just have to look and see that, have to figure it out, kind of make it up and imagine what it must take.
Yeah.
For on television, like the Oscars, then, Pampers and Lysol and Lexus would all be
model changes.
True.
The whole model changes.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great conversation because it's such a large event. I think it's great to know, there's so much that happens behind the curtain.
That's why we work on it all year long. We really focus on, the sponsorships really help. Everything helps, but we didn't invent it. We didn't invent the wheel.
No.
We actually got trained by the Emmys. So it actually is a mirror of how the Emmys work. And our board member, now he's retired, but our board member was like a big wig at the Emmys, and he was a genius to boot. And he used to be Rudy's boss at NBC. Just so happens he used to be Rudy's boss at NBC, where they both won Emmys for the Olympic Games on NBC. But he really was our guide, and everything he said we did to the best of our ability with him alone. He's still actually involved. But I don't know if it would be the same level if we hadn't been able to have a mentor from the Emmys.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. We have a couple of questions that fall, I guess, kind of fall into the logistics sort of thing of both the awards and the Expo. Now, I think I remember that submissions for the awards closed yesterday. Did they not? They just closed. They have not closed.
They were extended to the 30th.
Till the 30th of September.
We did get that out there as much as we could.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, it's been extended to September 30th at midnight.
Wonderful. And so the
Eastern time.
The two questions that kind of dovetail off of that is obviously, when will the awards nominees be posted or announced? That's question number one. And then the other, I think, is asked by two people here, is kind of, they've submitted for speed dating. And Richard is saying, I'll be at the award show.
I did get it, Richard. I did get your speed dating.
People who have submitted for speed dating, when will selections be announced, or when will they receive a call?
It is on the website.
Okay.
It is on the website, and if you get in, you will be emailed. If you don't get in, we just don't have the bandwidth to, like an audition. If you don't get it, you don't get it, right? Yeah. But if you get it, you know. Yeah. So it does say the date. You guys, I have a lot of dates in my head, so I can't remember.
They're on the site.
But
so if you go to the website and again scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a button that says calendar. Mm-hmm. And on that calendar are answers to those questions.
Yeah. Right.
And does this open? And does this close? The only one that isn't there is that we suddenly extended the dates for submissions because we got a request from one of the countries who was having a difficult time getting all of their awards together. And we said, well, we'll open it up for you. We have to open it up for everyone. So
and the nominations come out. I don't know the specific date.
So go to the calendar.
Go to the calendar.
And it's 6 weeks before the event.
It's always 6 weeks before.
You have time to do whatever you need to do.
Yes.
That's the mad scramble. If you haven't gotten your ticket, hotel room, and flight yet, then you have to do all of that in one day.
And by the way, one of the gifts this year is that we have an official sponsor, airline sponsor, United Airlines, and up to 10% off your ticket if you use it. Nice. And that's also on our site. And then the Hilton, that's Voiceover, is going to be the Los Angeles Hilton Hotel by LAX, $169 a night.
Unheard of.
Sorry, I don't know what.
Unheard of. Airport hotel anywhere in the world these days, unheard of.
Yeah, it's unheard of. It's truly unheard of.
That's wonderful.
And it's not by chance. We fought for that price.
Just book it. Just book it, folks.
Yeah. It's like, we went out and did the extra miles for an airline to help people fly in.
Right.
So
Okay.
And
We're
that
looking out for
discount
you.
is from all over the world too.
Yeah, well, that leads me to my next
Richard-
question, Joan.
Richard
talking
made
about
his reservations, and he lives in Los Angeles already. So
great rates.
love it.
Great rates.
Like, I live here, and I'm still going to stay at the hotel. 'Cause, yes.
Hey, treat yourself well.
Love it, Richard.
Joan, you were saying, all these countries and the expansion, and there's new categories from new languages and things like that. It's just, it's amazing because, to our conversation about diversity and everything like that and the expansion.
Right.
So this is now becoming a global thing. And so does That's Voiceover or the Society of Voice Arts Awards ever stretch their legs and hop across the pond or go global? I don't know. I'm just...
Well,
Anything's possible.
talked about.
Oh, he's up to something.
Yeah.
A lot of things have happened because someone mentioned it like you just did.
Right. You put it out in the ether.
Or had a way in. I mean, the reason started doing Spanish is because Fabian Toro called and said, why don't you have a Spanish, slew of categories? And I said, well, we're planning to do something next year. It's on the table. And he said, well, why can't you do it this year, first year? And I said, well, there's really no answer to that question except we could. So so that's what happened. And the same thing happened with the Muslim-speaking population, the Arabic-speaking population.
Right.
Someone just called and said, we'd like to get involved too. What can you do? What can we do? And we said, okay, well, let's sit down and figure it out. And it's those people who became our international ambassadors. So on the website, there's a page for the international ambassadors, and they help us deal with localizing our message to their countries, doing translations for us. When people have special problems, we can send them to one of the ambassadors to sort it out, and then they'll get back to you. Here's what you have to do to fix this one.
And let me tell you something. They are extraordinary. Extraordinary. I am blown away by our ambassadors. They are on it, and with such heart, you guys.
But America is still a very, I guess, inspiring and place in the world, and people want to come here. People enjoy that the award comes from here,
Right?
And in their countries, it makes a big difference. So they can win awards in their countries, but they're stepping up their game when they say, "I also took my talent elsewhere, and I'm bringing home a trophy."
Yeah,
Right.
very true. Very true.
And I see the articles in the local newspapers in different parts of the country, and it's heartwarming. But I also, when we're talking with these folks from the other countries, you can feel their joy. You can feel their appreciation for being included.
Yeah.
It's intangible.
Yeah.
You're talking to folks
It
about
actually helps.
you fully get it, and you see the expansion of the award program itself through their belief in it and their appreciation for it.
But it actually helps us wake up in the morning because of such heart and the different cultures around us and the appreciation that is just, it gives me goosebumps. But it really does get us up in the morning because it's basically me and Rudy and a part-time assistant. So until 6
And everyone else contractors.
Yeah, and that happened 6 weeks closer to the event. Everything is because of a budget, but it's basically Rudy and I. So these things are like fuel to us when people write us, when people leave, messages, when people unbox their award. It really, really, truly makes a difference because we're literally nose to the grindstone. And so when these things happen, when people call, when email, whatever, it really touches my heart. It really touches Rudy's heart. It really inspires us. So first of all, we're truly grateful for it. And thank everybody. We live by it. Truly.
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We've had someone sneak up on stage. We don't know how he got here, but he's
he's been my mentor since the very, 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 very beginning. Mr. Mark Neely has just snuck his way up on stage to say something.
Wow.
Emma, this is not Mark. This is Denzel.
Oh, hey. Yes.
We heard, Joan, that you wanted to be on. When I tell you we will win the contest, I can guarantee there's no turning back. We will have one day. We have one training day in Okaloo. We'll electric slide. Me and Rudy will cut the Achilles of the other dancers. We will equalize them. We will equalize the no.
Whatever you think.
That's a different kind of equalizing.
You never say, bro.
Oh man.
No, listen, real quick. You two are royalty. You two are royalty to me. And when I first got in this business, I had 1 year making $25. But I would look up and see the book of your face, Joan, and it inspired so many people. You are so warm when people want to have a question. You treat them as just they're an equal, or you just want to have just warm. And that sense of just including people has been such a victory to so many. And so, just not just Black people that want to get in this business. I talked to the other day, and there's such a change even after 5 years of having Black women do this work. There's just I just want to say thank you, because I could go on and on and on. But you don't know who you might be treating when you do what you do, who is watching, and how you influence them to move on and on. So you have been that for me, and I just really thank you, and honor this opportunity to say that to you to your face. Yes, and I don't need an airline to come and see you in LA.
Why don't you flap your arms?
A helicopter or something like that. But that's what I really want
to hear from you. I am.
Thank you so much.
Beyond, yes. Thank you.
Well, yes, and we will win Dancing with the Stars. Don't worry about it.
That's what absolutely. What's my thing?
Oh, I love it. Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a dote. I love that man. Oh my God. And we have, for those sticking around to the end, there might be something that happens.
Should we cause a ruckus?
I think we should.
Let's cause a ruckus.
So should we make an announcement?
I think go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So we want to give away 2 tickets to That's Voiceover.
He just went straight in, like there was no lead up at all. Like he just went straight for it, just straight in there.
We want to give away 2 tickets to That's Voiceover to the folks who are online now who are hearing this. All you have to do is send a note to Joan at SOVAS.org and tell her what year That's Voiceover was officially named That's Voiceover. It was mentioned several times over the last hour and a half.
But the first 2 people that email me will get the tickets. Is that it?
Yeah.
First 2 people.
Yeah.
First 2 people who get the right answer.
Let's repeat that email address.
Yes. It's Joan.
Yeah.
It's Joan, Joan at SOVAS, SOVAS.org. And I'll just email you back and let you know you nailed it.
So, folks, you stuck around to the end.
Thank you, everyone.
Paid off. If you're listening to the replay, don't send the email, okay? Don't be blowing up. It's like, I'm trying to prepare the awards show, and people are emailing me. What's going on? Oh boy!
No, I'll just email you back and let you know. Yes.
Yeah.
You got it.
And then what we will do? Well, yeah. What we'll do is, Joan, you'll let us know when you have your 2 people, and I imagine it's not going to take long, folks. So don't you snooze, you lose. Do it right now. Remind people of the question if it hasn't hit the inbox already.
Oh, I don't know yet.
No, Rudy, remind people of the question they're trying to answer. What year?
That Voiceover received the name That's Voiceover when it officially become That's Voiceover Career Expo.
All right.
Year.
What was the year? And so you're emailing Joan at SOVAS.org with the answer to that. The 2 first people to hit Joan's inbox with the correct answer to that question
Okay, we got a winner. We still one ticket left.
Okay. So there, we're going to do this live, folks. We've got one ticket done and one to go. We're doing it live. So we are giving away, well, Joan and Rudy are giving away a pair of tickets to That's Voiceover.
But it would not have been happening without the VO roundtable. So got to give you props.
That's right.
So glad you're
Thanks
here.
to Mike and Emma, I'm telling you. So, Catherine, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name, and I know you.
Like you can, because she's French Canadian. She's with Catherine.
I'm scrolling.
You know exactly who it is. She's the voice of the hotels in Montreal.
Oh my God, you're kidding. And Trish Lynn, you're number 2. So we got our winners. Oh my God, I'm getting more emails. No, you guys.
All right, that's it. We have our 2 winners. Stop the emails. Oh, Catherine in Montreal. Catherine.
Yes.
Oh, and
Yes.
and I have to be.
Greek,
I
and
even have
she's
to be
French.
careful not to mangle her last name because I believe it's Vasilopoulos.
Yes.
I think I
Greek,
said
but
that
she's
right.
French.
She's part of my accountability group, so if I'm going to be in so much trouble if I just mangle her name. But yeah, Catherine.
Did you say
Catherine-
Vasilopoulos?
Yes, she's Greek. That's not French Canadian. It's Greek.
She is French Canadian, but
But
her
she
name
is
Greek.
She, much like me, she's fluently bilingual.
She said
English
yes.
and-
You said it correctly.
Yay!
She said yes.
Oh, great.
Say it again, Mike. Say it again.
Vasilopoulos.
What a name. Amazing. What name? What kind of name is that?
Greek.
She is Greek.
Greek.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Joan is challenged right now with her email box.
All right.
She says,
so
I'm Greek, but raised in Montreal with French.
there it is. We have successfully given away 2 tickets, 2 individual
Yes.
tickets to That's Voiceover, taking place in December. I'm going to go back to those dates. It was December 7th through 9th, I believe it is.
Mhm.
And for anyone who doesn't know, there is a code for anyone who's purchasing tickets, and that code is Coach Joan 23.
And that gets
It's not
you.
very sensitive, but when you're purchasing a ticket, if you put in Coach Joan 23, you will get 20% off your ticket.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry,
25.
25% off your ticket.
All right.
Woohoo!
Emma, you
Yeah,
can
if you
drop
don't
that
like
in the chat for
because
people.
we
Yep.
wanna-
Yes.
And the reminder is there, folks. There is, as Joan said, there is an airline partner this year, so you have the potential for a discounted airline ticket. There is the hotel partner with an absolutely bonkers rate at the LA Airport Hilton, and now you have an opportunity for a discounted ticket if you didn't win one of the tickets tonight. Win.
Yeah, for real.
This has been wonderful.
It really
Yeah.
has been. I was so looking forward to this.
Thank you so much. And thank you for both posting so much as well, which is such a help. It's always so wonderful when people get involved in parts of the show. So thank you for doing
Emma,
Yeah.
who you telling? Who you telling, Emma? We know.
that.
We know.
Yeah.
Telling everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody.
that's right. Thank
Well,
you,
we've gone-
everyone.
We've gone to time, we've gone over time, but it's been so worth it. It's been so wonderful having Joan and Rudy with us. Thank you so much. Emma, final parting words with Joan and Rudy?
Just thank you for being who you are. Thank you for everything that you do for this community, and and for taking the time to be on this show with us. It's on our little show and sharing all of the stuff that you shared with us. It was just a lovely, lovely evening, and I hope people learned a lot because there was a lot of information shared. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
also-
Thank you for having us.
Thank
It was
you.
great.
Absolutely.
I hope we get to do it again someday. Maybe.
Yeah.
maybe
Oh,
we'll-
you're on.
We'll go through it.
You're on.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'd love that.
Yes.
Milk lunch.
Book launch. All right. Well-
Thank you, everybody. Emma, Mike.
And we say a big thank you to our audience and our supporters for all of their great questions and their participation as always. Emma, what's going on next week?
Next week, we have a Welsh goddess joining us.
Welsh goddess.
Welsh goddess who residing in San Francisco with her husband and many cats, Shelley Avellino will be joining us. And there's a possibility we're going to be doing some performance. Cold rates, baby.
I love it. I love it. The show is always so much fun when we do those kind of things, these read opportunities. So it's, try and change up the format and what we offer the people. So please check it out. Keep an eye on the socials to find out when Emma is going to open her inbox and just get flooded. But if it's cold reads, actually that'll be better. But we'll see. So yeah, we hope you'll join us. Again, thank you to Rudy and to Joan tonight. Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m., 4:30 Pacific, here on Clubhouse for the live show. This is the Voiceover Roundtable. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the night. Take care. I'll hear you.
Good night.